Yuki Tsunoda's Formula One path is heading toward a fresh twist, and it's catching everyone by surprise. Rumors are flying that he could be heading to Cadillac from 2026. This comes after a season filled with frustration and setbacks while driving under Red Bull's umbrella. Within the paddock, there's a growing belief that Tsunoda might not be continuing with the Austrian team next year. That's where Cadillac enters the conversation. But the bigger question is, will this shift help Yuki find solid ground in F1 again? Looking at his past, there's no denying that Tsunoda carries promise. His performances with AlphaTauri and Racing Bulls showed that he has raw talent and the willingness to grow. But his promotion within the Red Bull system hasn't gone as planned. The stats speak for themselves. He's now trailing every other Red Bull-affiliated driver. Even Liam Lawson, who hasn't had a full season, managed a P6 finish in Austria, something Yuki hasn't achieved recently. It's clear that something isn't clicking. Trying to pretend that Tsunoda can magically connect with the car overnight just doesn't sound realistic anymore. And chances are, Yuki himself feels the same. The RB21 has shown its difficult nature. Multiple times, we've seen Sergio Perez struggle too. Now it's easier to understand why. Even Liam Lawson's brief time in the car made more sense in hindsight. And while that chapter might be over, what really matters now is what lies ahead. The road in front of Yuki looks steep. Red Bull has two young drivers, Isak Ajar and Arvid Lindblad, lined up and waiting for their opportunity. The focus has clearly shifted toward building for the future, and that means making some tough choices. Out of all possible drivers to be replaced, Tsunoda seems to be the most vulnerable right now. Even Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko hasn't held back. He's made public comments about Tsunoda's slow adaptability. According to him, Max Verstappen handles the car's tricky setup far better, which leaves Tsunoda trailing behind in performance. That's a worrying sign not just for this season, but for his future at Red Bull as a whole. Helmut Marko went on to give more details about Yuki's recent qualifying struggles. He mentioned that Tsunoda was initially on pace to make it into Q3, but as conditions on the track began to shift, things quickly turned against him. While Verstappen managed to adjust and still push the car to its limit, Yuki found it difficult to keep up. According to Marko, the main issue isn't just the driver, it's the car itself. The current setup has an incredibly narrow operating range and becomes unpredictable when pushed hard. This kind of situation leaves very little room for error, and for a driver like Yuki who's still working to cement his place in F1, that's a dangerous spot to be in. Red Bull did provide him with strong backing early on, helping him through his early development. But at some point, decisions need to be made that put the team first. You either find a driver who can handle a car like this, or you end up turning that second seat into a revolving door. Neither scenario is ideal, but Red Bull is already hinting at which way they're leaning. So, where does that leave Yuki? For now it seems unlikely that he'll be able to turn things around at Red Bull in time to save his seat. But all hope isn't lost. That's where Cadillac becomes relevant again. They're looking at things from a very different perspective. Interestingly, the American outfit has reportedly been observing Tsunoda for quite a while, even before he got his Red Bull opportunity. It's been suggested that Cadillac sees potential in him that's been buried under the weight of a difficult car and high expectations. Their team director, Mario Andretti, made a comment recently that caught everyone's attention. He pointed out that drivers like Lawson and Tsunoda have shown flashes of skill that got buried in a poor car setup, not a lack of talent. That type of thinking changes everything, especially for someone like Yuki who's eager to prove himself all over again. While Red Bull might be willing to give Yuki a little more time, it's becoming increasingly clear that this patience won't last forever, and Yuki probably understands that better than anyone else. In a hyper-sure environment where performance is everything, relying on someone's goodwill just isn't enough. If things don't improve, he'll be forced to look elsewhere, not out of choice, but necessity. When you're in a system as ruthless as Red Bull's, you can't afford to wait around hoping the situation improves. At a certain point, you have to take charge of your own path. And for Yuki, that means seriously considering a future beyond Red Bull. He might feel that staying in the same place will only hold him back, especially if the team is focused on other drivers coming through their ranks. Interestingly, this isn't the first time Cadillac has been linked with Tsunoda. Even before his promotion within Red Bull, there were whispers connecting him with several teams, including Audi and Haas. But from all those, Cadillac was the one that appeared most serious. The reports back then pointed toward a genuine interest in bringing him on board. And really, can you blame them? Despite recent struggles, Yuki's time with AlphaTauri and Racing Bulls included plenty of flashes that showed what he's capable of. Many people thought Lawson deserved the promotion instead. But with hindsight, the focus on Tsunoda wasn't completely out of place. Now, if he's given the chance in a more supportive environment, there's reason to believe that his performances could look a lot different. Right now, a change could be exactly what he needs. Red Bull's current setup isn't giving him the tools to succeed, and with the pressure constantly increasing, that's not a place where a driver can flourish. With Cadillac aiming to build something from the ground up, they might just be the team willing to hand Yuki a fresh slate, and he's likely thinking hard about that possibility. Cadillac at this stage, isn't expected to be a frontrunner right away. Their focus lies in building a strong foundation first, before chasing podiums. Their engine program is set to fully launch in 2028, meaning the initial years will be all about setting the right structure, drivers included, and that's where Yuki could come in, for a team that needs someone experienced but still young and motivated. Tsunoda checks a lot of boxes. If you look at it from his perspective, this might be his best chance at rebranding himself as a serious contender, not just a placeholder. He's had 5 seasons in Formula One, gained valuable experience in tough machinery, and scored points when most didn't expect him to. He's proven that with the right support, he can hold his own. But the competition for the Cadillac seat isn't going to be easy. In fact, it's becoming one of the most talked about open slots in the paddock. Cadillac is reportedly looking at a 2-driver Formula One seasoned name to bring leadership and a younger driver who can grow with the project. For the veteran role, names like Sergio Perez and Valtteri Bottas are already in the mix. Both have plenty of experience and are currently evaluating their own career directions. As for the younger slot, Yuki might be the favorite on paper, but he isn't the only one being considered. There's also Filipe Drugovich, the former F1 champion who's been waiting for his chance to step up, with Aston Martin showing little interest in moving him to a race seat anytime soon. Drugovich is now exploring other options, and Cadillac is likely at the top of that list. Then there's Zhou Guanyu, who brings not only experience but also massive commercial value. Backed heavily by sponsors in China, Zhou presents a unique opportunity for any team aiming to increase its presence in the Asian market. For Cadillac, this could be a strategic move as much as a racing one. Another name that keeps popping up in this conversation is Mick Schumacher. The German driver continues searching for a return to the grid, but his chances are thinning out. His past stint with Haas didn't go as planned, and the criticism from team boss Gunther Steiner only made things worse. While many believed he wasn't given a fair shot, the reality is that teams aren't lining up to sign him now, even when he was rumored to replace Logan Sargent at Williams. James Vowles publicly dismissed the idea, stating that Mick didn't meet the level of performance the team was aiming for. But it doesn't stop there. The list of potential candidates also includes promising F2 talents like Jack Doohan and Jack Crawford. These young drivers have shown signs of brilliance, and with Cadillac not rushing to finalize their driver lineup, it gives them a chance to monitor performances a little longer before making a final call. Still, when comparing all of them side by side, Tsunoda might hold the strongest case. He's been in the sport long enough to understand the demands of F1, but hasn't been around so long that teams see him as past his peak. He's had to handle inconsistent machinery and tough expectations, and yet he's still standing. That counts for something. Red Bull may not be the right fit for him anymore, but that doesn't mean his career is finished. If Cadillac wants someone who's already experienced the chaos of F1 but still has the hunger to prove himself, then Yuki could be their answer. Of course, the final decision depends on a lot of variables: team strategy, commercial appeal, and on-track consistency. But one thing is certain: Yuki Tsunoda's name is still in the conversation, and that alone shows he's not done yet. What happens next could define the rest of his career. Whether it's Cadillac or another team willing to bet on him, Yuki needs to make his next move count. He's no longer the rookie trying to impress. He's the fighter looking for a second wind.